When you think of the typewriter, you might imagine clacking keys, inky ribbons, and old office photos in sepia tones. But according to economist Myera Rashid of Northwestern University, this humble machine did far more than tidy up paperwork. It reshaped women's working lives, marriage prospects, and even patterns of social mobility in the United States between the late 19th and early 20th centuries. The typewriter's first commercial model, invented by Christopher Sholes in 1868, wasn't aimed at offices at all. It was marketed to writers as a literary machine. Businesses only began adopting it in earnest in the 1880s, drawn by its speed, twice as fast as handwriting, accuracy, and the ability to make identical copies using carbon paper. As companies after the Civil War grew more complex and data-heavy, the typewriter became a natural fit for their record-keeping needs. Once businesses realized its potential, adoption skyrocketed. But what made the typewriter's story unusual was not just the technology, it was who ended up using it. Before its arrival, secretarial work was mainly done by men, but typing quickly became labeled as a mechanical skill, and firms began hiring women at lower wages to fill the new roles. In 1880, women made up just 12% of typists. By 1900, they were 74%. By 1940 to 93%. That year, more than 1.1 million women were working as typists, representing nearly 1 in every 11 employed women and a quarter of all women in white-collar jobs. The typewriter wasn't replacing large numbers of male clerks. It was creating new positions, opening a path into offices for women who had never worked there before. Education was key. Secondary schooling laws and early training programs, especially typing courses offered by organizations like the YWCA, helped supply businesses with qualified women. The job appealed not only because it paid better than many other respectable women's jobs like teaching, but also because it provided a cleaner, safer environment than factory work or domestic service. But the typewriter's influence didn't stop at the office door. The research shows that women in areas with higher adoption of the typewriter were more likely to join the labor force and less likely to marry or have children. For white women, the decline in marriage often meant postponement or remaining single, and lower fertility was largely due to remaining childless. For black women, the effects came indirectly. As white women left household labor for office work, black women filled the gap in domestic service, which also tended to lower fertility because the work was often live-in and not compatible with childrearing. Perhaps most intriguingly, the typewriter acted as a meeting technology. Offices brought women into daily contact with men from higher income backgrounds, contacts they wouldn't typically make in other female-dominated jobs. Unlike traditional women's professions, such as teachers or nurses, secretaries worked alongside men from the managerial class and gained access to business networks where they could meet potential husbands from higher social strata. Teachers had almost no such advantage. Their social circle was limited to schools. Telephone operators and nurses also rarely interacted with high-status men. This had measurable consequences. White women who worked as typists in 1920 married men who earned, on average, significantly more than the husbands of women in other occupations. For women from the lower rungs of the socio-economic ladder, this sometimes meant marrying far up the income scale. One striking finding: nearly half of secretaries whose fathers were manual laborers married men in the top 30% of the income distribution. In economic terms, the typewriter wasn't just a machine, it was a ladder. Still, upward mobility had limits. Typing was a launchpad into the middle class, but rarely beyond. Out of 1,000 women who started their careers behind a typewriter, only about 3 became managers. The machine could open the office door, but the executive suite remained largely out of reach. The study reminds us that technology doesn't just change productivity. It can alter the social fabric in subtle but lasting ways. By creating a new occupation, the typewriter transformed women's labor participation, reshaped marriage markets, and enabled some to cross entrenched class lines. It was, in short, not just a tool of communication, but a quiet agent of social change. Enjoying the content? If you're learning something new, getting inspired, or just having a good time here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Your support means everything and helps keep this content going strong. Thanks for being here.